hear from you, so get those comments in.
Crouchy are fired. Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott and I'm back from my holidays. I hope you're all well. I hope you're not all too downhearted with yesterday's result and the result against Brentford. But there you go. We're going to be getting into that in great detail during the course of the show. And of course, in the up and coming transfer window, which slams shut, as they say, on Friday evening. We may actually, if we seem to be doing some decent business on Thursday and Friday, we may even jump on and do an extra show on Friday night if it's worth doing so. Let's just hope we are spending some of this money from some of the players that we've sold, and hopefully we can do some good business. So I'm welcoming you to the team this evening, and I'm going to kick off with Ian Noble. How are you, mate? And thank you for sticking in for me last week, sir.
Good evening, Nick. Good evening, everybody. Once again, yeah, I'm pretty good. Sort of got over yesterday, just about. There's no good dwelling on it too long, but we'll unpack it and that'll bring it all back during the show later this evening.
Yeah, and you notice there's a bloke on the left-hand side in the white T-shirt that keeps putting his head down. Okay, only to show the comparison to his white T-shirt and his dark tan skin. Good evening, the wonderful and talented James Cannon. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well. Listen, I was the same colour yesterday and nobody mentioned it. So,
well, I never saw you yesterday, did I? And somebody who's looking as pale as ever, Paul Gear. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, Nick. Good to see you back. And yeah,
let's
back in with this Palace stuff.
Yeah, back in the chair. We've got lots to go through this evening. I'm looking at all of you out in Facebook land. Andrew, I can see you. John, Richard, James, Ferg, good evening, mate. I hope you're well, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, and Nigel up in Sunderland, I'm going to kick off with John Ellicott, if you don't mind. John Ellicott, for you, those of you who don't know, ladies and gentlemen, was the founder member of the Red and Blue News in its old days, okay? And he's very much responsible for us actually broadcasting in the first place. You'll be aware, lost his son a couple of years ago now, Charlie, through cancer, and he's been in contact with us, and he asked us if we wouldn't mind promoting the following. We are doing another collection for the Young Lives versus Cancer, the Charlie Ellicott Fund, on the 14th of September versus the Leicester game. They need some collectors on the day, bucket collectors around the stadium. Could we please pass this on and promote it? And yes, of course we bloody can. It'd be a pleasure to do so, mate. So if anybody is interested in getting to that game a little bit earlier, helping John and his team collect as much money from the Palace faithful as possible, I'll be very grateful. Get in touch with John on Twitter. Okay, he's also got his own Facebook page. I think it's called the Eagles Perch. So he'll be delighted to hear from you. So that's for the Leicester game on Sunday. On the 14th of September. So please get along. Damon, I can see you out there. Simon Philpott saying, Paris, bring back Wilf. I think you're in dreamland, Simon. We can't afford that those sort of monies, and I don't think Wilf can afford to actually come back in the country for that sort of stuff. So, right, where we're going to kick off, boys? Should we do transfers out first, or should we do the game first? Ian, you choose.
Well, it's your show, mate. Tonight, I'd probably start with a game if it was up to me. But
yeah, go for it. Okay, so
we've rehearsed this thoroughly this evening.
No, at the end of the day, I know there's lots of despondency out there throughout the whole fan base, and Ian Roberts has just said it. Hello, everybody. Don't panic, is what he's saying. And I'm not in that mindset yet. When you look around you, you've got Everton with not a very good team. You've got Southampton, not a very good team. Wolves getting stuff sick. It's not all doom and gloom. It's early in the season. It's early days. Ian, cover the game, mate, please.
Yeah, okay. So, guys, look, just chip in and join me in this one as well. And if you've got questions or comments, observations in the chat, then please let's hear from you. So let's get the team up first of all, Nigel, if we can. This is how we lined up yesterday afternoon at Selhurst Park for the first home game. Henderson, of course, kept his place in goal. Richards, Riyadh came in for Anderson, who has departed, of course, and Mark Gahey captain the side in the sort of back three, Munoz and Mitchell, the wing backs. Wharton, we said last week, it's a question now of probably who partners Wharton in the middle of the park. Jefferson Lerma got the nod yesterday. Mateta up top with Eze on the left And probably the surprise one for me was Edouard starting. So there was no place for Kamada, no place for Sarr to start the game. And that one really did surprise me. I don't know about others, Paul, Jim, you surprised by that selection, or was it what you would have expected to have seen?
I think it was. I was surprised with Edouard, like you. I think the obvious ones were going. Anderson was obviously not there. We bought Riyad in the summer, so he was the natural replacement there.
Yeah.
Hughes was sick, so you've got Doucouré or Lerma. I think I probably would have gone with Lerma at the start. I'm not sure Doucouré is fully fit at the moment, but so I wasn't too worried about that. But Edouard was a surprise. I thought if he was going to drop Kamada, he would have bought in Sarr because that's his position. That's what he's been bought for. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. I mean, apparently Edouard had a good game against West Ham in the friendly in America recently. Maybe that's something to do with why he picked him. But yeah, it's not his natural position. So I was surprised to see that one, I must admit.
Yeah. I must admit, I was the front three was a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't understand why he didn't bring Sarr in. I thought it was going to be, and I think everybody's worries pre-kickoff were sound really, because let's face it, Edouard. Well, I'm sure you're coming on to his missed opportunity in a minute. Jim, anything on the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we him up front, we were a bit lopsided because he wants to spend most of his time in the middle. I would have thought he'd have gone for Sarr, but whether, again, he's not 100% fit as far as matches are concerned. But yeah, it was, I mean, I would prefer Doucouré because if we're going to play an attacking game like we do, Brentford, we lost 2 goals on counter-attacks, and yesterday we lost 2 goals on counter-attacks. I don't think we can play with 4. If I'm playing 3 at the back, I want to play 3-5-2 because then the 2 wing-backs can push on and do what they want to do, even further up the park, and you've still got 3 players, so you hold one, like Doucouré, in a nice holding position, and you're just a little bit more sort of solid. But still pushing forward. And I think we get overrun with the 2 wing backs so high up the park, and then the 2 central midfield players tend not to be able to cope when we're under the cosh.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid point, Jim, indeed. And I think we started brightly enough yesterday. I don't think it was a disaster. The first half was fairly even, really. I mean, West Ham had a couple of chances from corners early on. Not only can't we score ourselves from a corner, but we can't defend corners particularly well either. And I think they had a couple of headers which on another day could have tested the goalkeeper. They weren't far away. So in some ways, we're a little bit fortunate to be level still then. But we had our own chances in the first half, particularly Eze had a couple of chances cut in from the left-hand side. He was fed through twice, I think. Once it was blocked. Another time a keeper saved. Should he have done better? I've seen some goals other teams scored on Match of the Day were similar opportunities and they put them away. He could have lifted the ball a bit maybe, but he hits it on the deck. And the Areola makes a relatively routine save, especially the second one. I thought he could have done a little bit better, Eze. Thoughts?
If you saw, I've just watched the Liverpool game and Salah just scored the exact same goal, but he lifted the ball just a foot. He just dinked it over his foot. And if Eze had done that, the ball was in the back of the net because the keeper was at full stretch and just managed to get his foot to it. So he could have done better. He could have done better.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got such a high standard for him that I think he needs to do better. And you mentioned already the Edouard chance, Nick. Mateta this time turns provider and he feeds Edouard through on the right hand side, and you think, a golden opportunity. But he wasn't just missed for a little bit; he missed by miles. It was a bit embarrassing, really.
It was shocking.
He needs to do better. You've got to do better in those situations. The chances in the Premier League, they're few and far between, golden chances. And he just needs to do a lot better with that chance. I think the best opportunity came right on half time, didn't it? A short corner routine. Wharton plays it out to Eze on the edge of the box. Delightful chip, round the corner. I think he hit the frame of the goal between the post and the bar. And really, really close and really unlucky again. And if you look, you combine that with the effort that was disallowed last week, and he's not scored yet, but it's only a matter of time, isn't it, before he gets on the score sheet and does something a bit special. So yeah, disappointing in some ways to go in at 0-0. I think second half, I know we huffed and puffed a bit, but of course they got the breaks. But let's just talk about this, actually. Yeah, thanks, Nigel, for putting this up. There was a minute's applause for this chap, Darren Goodwin. Didn't know him personally, 44 years of age, died recently. Big Palace fan. There was a minute's applause. But one thing I noticed yesterday, actually, at half-time, and I'd almost forgotten this, there was no stoppage time. There's hardly any stoppage time at the end of that first half, and literally less than a minute, I think. I'm not sure why that was the case. Obviously, it didn't have any stoppages, but normally you get a couple of minutes at least, Nick.
It's a new directive. They've all this 12 minutes, 14 minutes cobblers. It's a new directive this year that they are playing to the whistle and playing to the clock. So you're going to find that's quite regular this season.
Anyway, I think his minute's applause was sort of interrupted by the half-time whistle. So I think he got about 30 seconds. But, you know, it's good to recognise him. Rest in peace, matey, of course. Second half, it was West Ham on 67 minutes, of course, that took the lead. We lost possession high up the pitch. I mean, it was almost on the corner flag. I think it was Mitchell that was robbed of the ball. Am I right in saying that? Yeah. And there was some that were saying it should have been a foul. I don't know what your views are of that, chap. So, you know, it was questionable if it was, but it clearly wasn't given. And Wan-Bissaka, who was off the bench, came back to haunt us a bit because he did ever so well, and they worked the ball really well. We had bodies back in the box, but it was pinging around. It was one of those, a bit like a pinball, and it just fell kindly, I think, to Souček, who gave Henderson no chance at all, really, for their opening goal. And it was one of those, we said pre-show, one of those where the first goal was decisive, and it just was yesterday. Almost at 1-0, there was no coming back from that. Certainly on the 2-0 there wasn't. And this is what happened after when they scored. West Ham fans piling forward, and fair play to, I think it was Bowen, wasn't it? And the goal scorer got the ball boy out, and he was all right. He was interviewed on Match of the Day about it, and the lad's okay. But disappointing, obviously, to get to be 1-0 down. And then, we've got the ball again up the other end. We lost the ball again, high in possession. Kilman picks the ball up. It goes past a couple of our players as if they're not there. Maraud's forward. You would have been proud of that run, Jim, from centre-back, wouldn't you, from Max Kilman yesterday, I think. And he plays the ball beautifully to Bowen. And he's the kind of striker that doesn't miss those opportunities. It was Riyad, he turned. But it could have been anyone. It could have been Gay. He could have been anybody there. They weren't getting near him, and it was a fine finish to make it 2-0. Got done on the counter, and I think at 2-0, the game's almost over, isn't it, Jim?
Well, just looking on one of the comments that says Eze held or holding onto the ball too long, and the second goal come from, and I could see it. I mean, he's trying things that are just probably not possible with so many players around him, and I think he's probably taking on more or trying to take on more responsibility, because obviously we've lost Elise, and at times, I mean, he was unlucky. I mean, it's edge of the box, he lost it, and they've come through and scored. But I think that's something that we've got to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Nick.
Very quickly, going back to the first goal, was it Souček that scored it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The question came up in the chat, and it's something we were talking about in the stands. Actually, should he have even been on the pitch because it had already been booked once? He'd already had a warning. Okay, he'd already had a warning from the referee, and then he committed another foul. A minute later, he goes up and scores. So that questionable one, number one. And Jim, pre-show, just before you came on, we were talking about the Eze scenario. We're getting into a situation now with Zaha all over again, where they're doubling up, tripling up on one player. Last year, you're absolutely right to point out that it was Elise and Eze, and they didn't know which one to double up on. And I reckon that's something we're going to have an issue with going forward. Sorry, Ian, over to you, mate.
No, it's fine. I just think it was over. I mean, there's not a lot more to say about the game. I think Mateta had a chance. It was crossed. I think it might be Munoz put the ball into the box on 75 or so, something like that. We're 2-0 down by then. And if he gets on the end of that, he wasn't really that close to it. If he gets on the end of that, makes it 2-1, which another day he might have done. Then there's game on. And then we had a free kick, which we made a complete hash of. Edge of the box, kind of distance where I think Eze can hit the target. He's got the ability to do it. But instead, they mess around with it, and what happened at the end was laughable. Billy Smart circus stuff. So it just wasn't our day, and We're just not getting the rub of the green. All those phrases and everything that we trot out at times like this, but disappointing result, and we lose the game. And what can you say? Not a lot more, really. And I think the best thing to do is just move on to the next, really.
Okay.
Other than just look at the stats, really, that we have more possession, more shots, only just, level on corners. Match of the day put the stat up on expected goals. It was 1.4 each, I think. So, yeah.
Okay, I'll give you one that you haven't used, Ian. If you don't take your chances, you don't win games. And we had chances. We had chances in the first half to win that game, and again, we did not. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, out in YouTube land and Facebook land, wherever you are watching this evening, thank you for joining us. Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of news that these three don't know about. Okay, because it is only tweeted in the last 4 minutes by Fabrizio Romano, and we're going to be talking about the transfer window or the lack of business in the transfer window coming up in a minute, okay? But Eddie Nketiah has made it clear he's open to join Crystal Palace, as a deal will depend on the club reaching a club-to-club agreement. Initial talks on personal terms have taken place, but there are more clubs keen. The situation is still open. Nketiah is fully expected to leave Arsenal in the final days. Boys, let's kick off with Eddie Nketiah. It's somebody we've been courting for a long time. Jim, do you know much about him, and what would you think about him up top? I would have thought we would have to get rid of Edouard first, but what's your thoughts, mate?
Well, yeah, I'd take him. I mean, he's a proven Premiership player. Anytime he's playing up front for Arsenal, he does well. He scores goals, so I think he'd be a good addition.
Paul?
Yeah, we've needed a pacey, mobile striker for a long time, and he would make runs for players to find. We don't intend to have that at the moment. And as you say, my only thing there is we tend to play. I think our system's one up front. So if we're going to bring him in, hopefully it would be as a front man, which obviously means Mateta moving out, rotating, however that works. I wouldn't want to see him. Well, I'd like to see him come in squad wise anyway, but there's not much point in playing him. As Jim says, if he's going to be in the wrong position or play where Edouard played yesterday. But certainly as a striker at Arsenal, yeah, he gets chances and he puts more in than probably our strikers do. But he's been talking to Forest recently, so hopefully that's cooled off a bit. Because
I can give you an update on that. Any discussions with Forest have now collapsed. In answer to your question, I've just seen on Twitter. There's lots of people in the chat saying no to Nketiah. Andrew Adams is saying Eddie could be our fox in the box. Lee Lockwood said I'll take Wilf over Eddie. I mean, there would be a massive amount of cost to the Nketiah deal. I mean, he's on big money at Arsenal, and I'm sure we wouldn't be paying.
He was asking 100 grand a week at Forest, apparently.
It would have to be a loan move with an obligation to buy, would it?
I don't think Arsenal want to loan him; they want to sell him.
Okay, Ian.
I mean, I think he moved from Arsenal to Palace, Eddie Nketiah would want to play first team football. Wherever he goes, he would want to play. He's in the same bracket as Emil Smith-Rowe, who's also left Arsenal, was a squad player at Arsenal. And he's gone to Fulham and he's now going to play every week. And Nketiah would expect the same if he came to a club like Palace or Forest. Not much love for him in the chat, is there? Nobody wants him.
No. There are, let me answer your question. Sven, I can't pronounce your surname, Nielsen Logston, you're asking, are we doomed? I presume you're asking, are we doomed? Mate, we're 2 games in. Have a bit of perspective on things. Let's not get carried away. Think about how many times we've started off poorly under Hodgson. We've got lots to go in. Right. Raheem Sterling. This has been asked directly to you, Jim. Sterling to Palace, Jim. Okay, bearing in mind, 300 grand. I got 300 grand yesterday. I also got 350 grand a week, is what I was told. Raheem Sterling, Palace, Mr. Cannon.
Well, if it's on Twitter, it must be right. 350 grand. I've never heard so much crap in all my life about how much money. I saw that, who was it, Anderson, is getting £175,000 at Fulham. I mean, where do these people come up with these figures? It was probably only about 70 grand here. He's not going to get 175 grand there. So your question was what?
Raheem Sterling. Do you think?
Yeah. And it wouldn't cost you that, because you say to Chelsea, well, we'll give them 100 grand and you pay the rest. That's how loans work. You don't take on the full thing unless you can really afford it, and we can't. Yeah, I would take him. We need a right winger.
Paul, your thoughts while Ian's choking?
I'm not Raheem Sterling's biggest fan, I must admit, but he's certainly going to be an upgrade on Edouard and probably Sarr. I'm not Sarr's biggest fan, to be honest, after what he did at Watford. So, as Jim says, if the money's right, then he'd probably be a good signing. But as you say, it's whether Chelsea will subsidise the majority of his wages, because he's on a whack.
Mr. Noble.
I had a coughing fit there. I don't know what happened there. Listen, Raheem Sterling, 29 years of age, 82 caps for England. Clearly, the guy's got pedigree, isn't he? You know, he's played at the top level for a lot of top clubs. I'm not sure he'd want to come to a club like Palace unless he's going to play every week. And it'll be a shoe-in, again, a bit like Nketiah, but even more so, I think, with Sterling. He would want to play. Now, no problem with him getting selected, you know, maybe as a direct replacement for Elise in our starting 11 on the right-hand side. But the big problem with him is his wages. Whatever that number is, Crystal Palace would never pay anything like that. A third of it, possibly, but nowhere near half even. I just don't think he's worth it. And clearly, these players, and they're earning big money, every club's got a wage structure. And you can't break that wage structure easily. And I think that the top money at our club should be paid to Eberechi Eze, because he's our best player, and Mark Gahey, because he's arguably our second best player. So those two players should be earning the best money. I know it doesn't always follow, but that's where we should be trying to get to as a club, making sure that our best players are rewarded more than others. So, if we can do that, that's fine. And if Raheem Sterling becomes our best player, then fine, pay him a bit more. But nowhere near the amount they're talking about. It's just nonsense. It's bonkers.
Thank you. I'm just going to answer a question in the chat. Somebody asked a minute ago, how long? Oh, is Tim Richards asking how long is Franker out for? Franker is a broken rib, and Mark Callaghan's already just answered you that on the same answer as well. So a broken rib will take you 6 weeks. Okay, by the time he comes back from the groin strain that will follow, and the strain on his ankle that will follow that. So I would estimate February to get over one broken rib, I would think. So it would be my bet with that player. Okay, and obviously we need to talk about the departures this week, please, Nige. Very sad for Gel. I mean, he's recuperating at home. Wrong one, mate. Try the other one first. Gel's at home getting over his heart operation, and I'm sure this won't aid his recovery by saying goodbye to Jordan Ayew. You all know what Joe Holyoke sort of Jordan. He was Jordan Ayew's fanboy, for those that you don't know. So thank you, Jordan. Good work. But the one that I think
going back to Ayew, I thought he had a good game yesterday, and he did what he needed to do. Going back to Ayew, I thought he had.
You're on fire. You're on fire, Croucher. And of course, the other one that I don't think it was any big shock. And I want to, Jim, I'm coming to you on this one. I want to talk to you about Joachim Andersen leaving the club. And the reason I want to come to you is because we're also going to be touching on Mark Gahey as well. We signed him for 20 million quid. We sold him for allegedly 30 million with up to 10 million quid on add-ons. So we can potentially have doubled our money on what is a 28-year-old centre-half. Okay. He is a very, very good centre-half. Jim, your thoughts on Joachim Andersen leaving to start with before I grill you on Mark Gahey?
Well, I was quite surprised. I mean, because all the talk for the past few months is all about Mark Gahey. So for him to suddenly go, but I mean, we signed that Riyadh. They're talking about trying to sign another centre half. So maybe they thought at his age, £30 million, a good. I mean, whether he wanted a longer contract here or more money, I don't know. I saw something on Facebook which said he got 175,000. Well, I would doubt that very much. But he probably got a longer contract, which is quite important probably to a lot of players. So, but yeah, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, and his passing at times was brilliant. But I believe that there's plenty of good centre halves that can do good jobs in the Premiership, and they're not. You need different players for midfield and up front. They've got to be a different quality. Centre halves that have got a bit of composure on the ball and they've got a bit of pace. I think you can get them quite easily throughout all the leagues in Europe. So I don't think it'll be a great loss, but if Gehi went as well, then I think we would in be serious trouble. I don't think he'll go now. I can't see that happening. He's he likes the club. He's a local boy. All his family. He's a family man. I can't see him going to Newcastle, but in football, you never know, do you?
Jim, I'm going to hold you on the Gehi thing for a minute because I'm going to the boys. Okay, it nearly got to the point this week, Jim, where I thought Gehi had gone as well, and I nearly texted you to tell you to bring your bleeding boots with you. Ian, you first, then Paul.
Yeah. So apparently, there's been a statement made by Joachim Andersen to Scandinavia media, and it says that one of the reasons he went was that he wanted a longer-term contract, and Palace wouldn't offer him a longer-term contract beyond 2 years. And he signed a 5-year deal at Fulham. Now, I guess an extra 3 years is big news to him, because the footballer's life is relatively short, and that's basically secured him for life, I guess, by making that move. Don't forget, he also knew Fulham as a club. He played there before, so he knew what he was going into. Again, London club hasn't got to move house or anything like that. So I think possibly with whatever increase in wages he got, which he would have got an increase, we don't know what that is exactly. But I think it's the 5-year contract was the big thing for him. And he says, this is a quote, I don't know how true it is, but he says, I was a little disappointed that Palace could not offer me such a deal in relation to the length. It was really a cold and cynical move from Palace, so they could also make the last coins from me. Maybe lost in translation there, I don't know. But that's how it is. It's business from Palace's side. So, a bit surprised by that comment, if it's true, but it's gone to the media. Someone's quoted it, and you like to think, well, there's an element of truth in it. But I can't, like you, Jim, I can't see Steve Parish sanctioning both of the first choice centre backs from last season going in the same window. I just cannot see it happening. Lot made of Mark Gehi's captaincy, of course. Programme notes yesterday, post-match interview. I thought he was a little bit less, he looked a bit, so he didn't really want to look at the camera, didn't really want to do the interview yesterday after the game, whether that's because we'd lost, I don't know, but I didn't think that was quite as confident as I might have expected, but I really can't see it happening. But if Newcastle offer the money we were asking for, it could still happen, couldn't it, in this next week, which fingers crossed.
Well, we're coming to that in a minute, Ian. Thank you, mate. We're coming to that in a sec. Paul.
If you take your fans' hat off with Yoa, it's, as I say, it's a good deal for him. It's a good deal for the club. As Jim said, centre-back's not the hardest place to replace. Now, I think I said this on a chat we were on, Ian. I'd like to think, I'm hoping that Crystal Palace have a plan in place with all the stuff they're selling and doing, and that they'll be bringing players in. There's talk of us buying this Lacroix guy and certain people that Glasner's known in the past and managed in the past. So if you can get a younger, quicker defender in that the manager knows well, he knows he'll play the system he wants, then it's worth trading Anderson in for it, really. It's the way to go. But as I say, the plan has to be there. Steve Parish was at the Premier League media day last week, and he was interviewed. They showed on Sky. He said he couldn't see a scenario where both centre backs would go. So hopefully that's, as we say, meaning Mark will stay, because it'll be hard to replace two of them this week, I must admit. But I'd like to think with the players that are going out, Yoa, Jordan, and there's still a possibility that Sam might go. I'd like to think there's a plan in place that they will all be in by the deadline, and everyone will look back and say, yeah, they knew what they were doing. But that may be false hope with Crystal Palace, but I'm sort of trying to convince myself of that.
Okay, Tommy Samuel saying we need to chill out, transfers. Dougie we trust. Lacroix. Okay, let's talk about Lacroix very quickly, because he's well known by the manager. On the subject of being well known by the manager yesterday, a couple of strange things, and Kamada is the subject here, boys, because I am coming back to the Gehi thing in a minute. Kamada, to my mind, we bought him as an attacking midfield player. He was played as a defensive midfield player, you say. Strange decision, Jim?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've only seen him a couple of times, and he played wide on the right the first time. And then he went in the middle of the park. I don't know. I just thought, from what I heard, he was a central midfield player that could get in the box. And he scored against Nantes in and scored the goal, sort of. And I thought, oh yeah, that's somebody that's going to get in behind people. But I don't know what position he is. I don't. He's not. I can't look at him and go, wow, he's good. I don't really know. I don't really know what he offers at the moment, but I haven't seen enough of him.
Did you think that was a very strange when they brought him on the pitch yesterday, boys?
Yeah, I did. I think I was surprised he came on and played left side defensively. I just didn't think it looked right, and I think he looked a bit lost at times as well. There was one occasion when he fell over right in front of us, and seemed no reason to. And I thought, yeah, he's not having the best of games. I think, like you, Jim, he scored a good goal against Nantes in that last pre-season friendly, and he looked decent. And I know it was only pre-season, but he had a couple of good games in pre-season. But and he's capped by Japan, so he's clearly got some pedigree. But maybe it's a settling it down thing, different culture, different way of playing the game. But I think they've got to find his right position and play him there rather than play him as a sort of utility player. I thought other players looked a bit lost yesterday coming back to the game. I thought Adam Walton at times, he was looking at the bench going, where do you want me to play, boss? And he wasn't quite sure what to do in towards the end of the second half when we made the substitutions. So maybe it was a thing about yesterday's game that was endemic on all the players, really. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody in the chat is telling me Philip Van Dam, he's gone through on my screen. Sorry, mate, I haven't got your name. That he is an attacking midfielder. So, Paul, why did he play him where he did?
I think he was trying to win the game. We took Lerma off, who's a defensive-minded midfielder, and he wanted to put someone, I think, a bit more attacking, even if he wasn't playing in attacking position. We've had years of having managers who play for don't take the adventurous sub, and yesterday it backfired a bit. All the friendlies he's played sort of behind the front man. He's been an attacking midfielder for Japan, from what I've seen and understand. So it was a strange. He has played there before for Oliver Glasner, but yeah, I thought it was a strange one yesterday in terms of who he took off. I thought Edouard was ready to go off, and that was his position that he's been playing all pre-season. So I was surprised that he went that way, to be honest. But unfortunately, it didn't pay off.
Yeah,
I think he will be a good player. I watched him at Brentford specifically last week. I said on the show last week, I'd take a bit of an interest in him because I saw him at Crawley, I saw him against Nantes, and last week at Brentford he was making some really good cutting runs through defences, but our midfield just couldn't find him or didn't play him through, didn't see it. And I think that will come with playing games with each other, and they'll know how they play and they'll be able to look for those sort of runs. But yeah, I'm certainly. We've got better players for those two holding midfield roles. As you say, it's who with Walton. You've got Lerma, you've got Doucouré, you've got Walton, you've got Hughes. So I don't think he would be playing there any length of time or long term, which made it all the more surprising he did yesterday, really. Yeah,
and the player that could have played there, of course, was Schlupp. And Mark Allen says in the chat here, on the left, sort of left wing back sort of thing, he says that Schlupp went back to the bench. He came on 80 minutes. He went back to the bench to ask where he was playing, and he wasn't sure. So there was a lack of communication from Glasner and his team to the players when they came on yesterday, it just seemed. Of course, by that time, we're 2-0 down. We're chasing the game. So maybe the instructions changed, I don't know, from what they were originally. But it just seemed that... And you see these managers and coaches with all their iPads and everything and giving instructions. Crikey, why couldn't they have done that earlier? Why is it so immediate? But, clearly things change during games. And they need to freshen it up, but there was confusion on the pitch yesterday when we made the substitution. That was one of the reasons why we looked as poor as we did at times.
Well, James Convey, good evening, James. Hope you're well, buddy. I haven't seen you for weeks. Where have you been hiding, mate? He said, I think we missed Hughes in the middle, and I think it's actually a very valid point. Somebody to put their foot in, disrupt them in the middle of the park. I think that's an extremely valid point. Anyway, following the game, you say. Notes from the manager, he said, following the departures of Joachim Andersen and Jordan Ayew this week, and with the future of Mark Gay still unresolved, Palace manager Glasner will be looking to add one or two reinforcements to his squad this week. And we're coming back to that one or two in a minute, boys, when the transfer closes on the 30th of August. This result highlighted Palace's need to strengthen in their areas. Eze and Edouard particularly wasteful in the first half. I honestly am more than concerned. I'll tell you now, this is how I'll give you my overview of the transfer window. couple of decent additions, I grant you. Okay, neither of them. Riyad played well yesterday. Kamada, not so sure yet. A little bit lightweight. Played in the wrong position. We should have bought Decore on instead of when Lerma went off. I understand why we took Lerma off because he'd been booked. Blah 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 blah. I get all that. Okay, but my biggest concern is Newcastle are still sniffing around. I hear what you're saying. He's got family up down south. He doesn't want to relocate up north, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you now, if they come in with a fifth bid, Palace will sell him. If they come in with a fifth bid, even with another £5 million on that, what they're offering, I honestly believe the bedwetters out there will go into overdrive because losing both of our centre halves will be absolutely catastrophic for the club. I get 70 million plus is huge for a little Crystal Palace football club, but how the hell do we replace that this week? I don't know that Maxence Lacroix is that player. I honestly don't feel that he is. Has anybody, hands up out of the three of you, have any of you ever seen Maxence Lacroix kick a football?
No.
Never heard of him until we mentioned his name.
Exactly, Jim, and that's the point. We've heard of him through the contacts through speculation in the press over the last few weeks. He's somebody that the manager knows well, and Max 0 he hasn't seen him kick a ball. Rob Donovan's another one. He said no, he hasn't. Okay, I don't actually know much about him. He's clearly a decent player. He's got something the manager fancies. But is he going to replace Mark Geehee if he goes this week? I'm mightily concerned. Right, Nigel, there's a couple of other bits of housekeeping I haven't covered. Pop them on screen for me, and I'll knock them out. John Knox is saying if we lose both managers, our defence will. Okay, yeah, he raises a question there about the manager. If we were to lose Mark Geehee this week as well as Anderson last week, how does the manager feel about it?
Well, I don't think Oliver Glasner is not got the final say, but he will be consulted. He will have an input of some kind, and if he doesn't want Geehee to go, he'll say so. Now, yes, I don't think he wanted Anderson to go from the answers we've seen him give to interviews. But sometimes, you're forced. We've done Anderson. We talked about the reason he's gone, but. I don't think he'll leave or anything. I think he'll be here. He's not that unprofessional. You're not going to throw his toys out the pram completely, is he? We're talking about.
He did before. He did it. His previous.
Yeah, you're right. He did before. I just can't see it happening. I still think. I'm leaning towards Mark Geehee staying still. I'm believing that at the moment. If he was to go, and we're not going to sell him without a replacement, that's for sure. And we get some 2 or 3 in, maybe. I don't know. It just seems crazy that we're still talking about this at this stage. And we talked about why the window closes when it does, because of Europe, blah, blah, blah. But it seems ridiculous that we're having this conversation now about one of our best players. It just doesn't make sense to me. Should we be flattered? Not really. See, Brentford are selling Ivan Toney and they're not playing him and wrapping him up in cotton wool. Surely if we were serious about selling Mark Geehee, we wouldn't be playing him, would we? Would we?
Paul, I know you got thoughts on the transfer strategy so far. What's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Oliver Glasner, we spent months trying to get him. We were wooing him. We were doing all sorts of stuff, telling him about the project. As Ian says, he's going to be involved in any transfer. I don't think we're going to wind him up enough to leave, having gone to all this trouble trying to get him, especially with the credit he's got in the bank now after the end of last season. So I'd be very surprised at that. If they went to him and said, look, Geehee, we can't turn this money down. Who do you want? And he found someone and got him, then it would be a different story. But in terms of Palace's transfer business, the thing I don't like about it is they love a last day dramatic deal, and there's absolutely no excuse. We've got a week now. There's no excuse not if we're signing players this week. There's no excuse not to have it done by Monday or Tuesday. Now, it's no good signing them on a Friday night. They have to be registered by lunchtime on Friday anyway. So that's the first rider to try and get stuff done early. But if you leave it to the last minute, and we've seen it numerous examples, not just for Palace, other teams, something will fall through at the last minute. There'll be a hitch, and then you've got no time to either resolve that hitch or go and get another player instead. So really, there's no benefit in waiting 4 days. So get it sorted in the next couple of days, get them signed, parade them on the pitch before the Norwich game or whatever on Tuesday, and he's got some time to work with them and maybe get them involved for Saturday because let's be honest, we need a bit of a lift, and so that would be my philosophy. But I have a fear. I think they will buy players. I think they've got planned to buy players, but I don't think we'll find out about till 11:30 on Friday night, which, as I say, I don't see the point in that.
Okay, well, that's interesting that you mentioned Friday night because I will make you a pledge because I make you right, mate. I think we need 2 as a minimum. I actually think we need 4, if I'm brutally honest with you. And Jim, I'd like your number in a minute, but I'll make you a pledge, everybody. The boys don't know I'm about to announce this, but if it turns out that we have more than 3 in come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it looks as though we might be doing any more on the Friday, I will jump on with another or a couple of other people on whoever wants to join me on Friday evening as the transfer window nears the end. I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on Friday night. If our business looks positive, because I think you're right, Paul. I make you right. We need a lift. Jim, how many do you think we are light at the moment? Assuming Mark Gahey stays, which I don't think he will, but in case you
forward, winger, a forward. Another defender.
So you're saying 3, yeah?
2 or 3. But they've got to be a bit of quality. I mean, maybe Glasner wants to get rid of Gahey and get 70 million and the 30 million from Anderson, and he's got 100 million pound to spend. Maybe he's thinking, yeah, I'll go with that. I wouldn't think so, but he's we need another defender anyway. I mean, we don't know. Them 3 guys that played yesterday, I don't think they've ever played together, have they?
No.
And Richards didn't play with Gahey at the end because he came in place of him when he got injured. And Riyadh, so apart from maybe pre-season, well, he wouldn't have been there, would he, Gahey? He was doing his stuff for Europe. So you had 3 completely new guys, and it looked a bit... Riyadh, I think, will be a good player. He looks a good player. Gave the ball away a few times early on. I think his confidence went a little bit. But we were a bit disjointed, the 3 players, yesterday. So if Gahey stays, I think we still need one more ball-playing centre-half if he's going to play 3 at the back. Do we need a right-back if Munoz gets injured? But do we need, if they're going to play that system all the time, do we need one similar to him that's a wing back as opposed to just a right back? Because it doesn't look as if he's going to play left backs or right backs anymore.
Okay, Ian, before you jump in, I'm coming straight to you, right? I just want to jump on a word that Jim just used. Jill Holyoke will be chuffed to hear the word you use just then, Jim. He just texted one word into our chat yesterday at full time, and the word was disjointed. Okay, and you just used exactly the same word. So there's obviously something in that. Ian.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think if you had to summarise yesterday, it was disjointed. We talked about lack of communication earlier, and that was seemingly the problem. But I think on the right, you've got Klein and you've got Ward. I know they're both getting on a bit, but they're both adequate cover, I think, if Munoz got injured. So I don't think we necessarily need to buy another player that's going to play there. I think the left-hand side's a different kettle of fish altogether, though. We have been linked with some rumours with Aiton Nori from Wolves, which I quite like the sound of. I think he's a great player, really good. He can play in the midfield as well. Whether Wolves would want to lose him at this stage, they probably wouldn't. And he would demand quite a big fee, but they're also interested in Sam Johnston. So whether there can be a deal broker there, I don't know.
I can see a swap plus cash deal going through on that one, and I really can. Paul.
It's all about priorities, isn't it? We'd love to get cover on every area of the pitch, but as we say, I think the main areas main areas we need to solve are we need a striker because we don't have anyone other than Mateta. You don't want to rely on Edouard. We still need someone to replace Elise. I know you can't replace Elise, but you've got to get someone who can at least patrol that part of the pitch. And so I'm not convinced about Sarr. Maybe he'll come good, but certainly Edouard's not there. And as Jim says, we need a centre back just to replace Anderson, if nothing better. And then obviously if Sam goes, we need that. So 3 or 4 is essential. I think midfield we're okay with, but Certainly, but a lot of it is we've got to remember these are still good players. That they haven't suddenly become bad overnight. There's a confidence issue, and Mateta's clearly a confidence player. And it could turn in a few weeks. We could be saying they're all good players again. But we certainly, for squad rotation, fitness issues, they need to get this sorted quickly.
And I agree. And I actually thought we were building on. We actually had something at the end of the last season, building upon probably one of our better teams in history. Until whilst we've been on the air, ladies and gentlemen, I've been sent a photograph, and I'm going to show you the best team in our history now, Nigel. And there it is. Look at that lot. First of all, check the mullet on the top right left-hand corner, ladies and gentlemen, and the Tash and Paul and Jim and Jerry and. To me, that was our best team of all time, and I thought I had to just share it with you, not for any reason apart from Big Jimbo on the show as usual. Okay, thanks, Nigel. Thanks for doing that. Best team in our history, Jim.
Great kit as well, isn't it? Great kit. Love the kit.
Is it? And what you don't know is my towel on holiday. I don't know if you saw the picture that I sent out. The towel on holiday even had the collar on it. Okay, white towel with the collar and the sash. The best kit of all time. Jim Cannon, over to you.
I bet people thought you were a right plonker.
No change there, mate. Right, Loan Watch. Let's catch up on some of our boys and what they're doing around different clubs. Owen Goodman played the full 90 minutes and kept a clean sheet for AFC Wimbledon, who won 1-0 at Cheltenham. Joe Whitworth played the full 90 minutes for Exeter City, who lost 2-1 at home to Peterborough United, but he saved yet another penalty. Taya Adramola was not fit and not in the match squad for Stockport. Okay, Danny Emery started but only played for the first 27 minutes for Bromley, and Bromley fans are describing Danny Emery, by the way, because I've seen a couple of reports on him, as an absolute beast of a player. They love him. David Ozo played the full 90 minutes for Derby, who lost 2-1 at Watford. Malcolm Ebiowi started on the Oxford United bench for the entire match and stayed there for their 2-1 loss at Blackwell Rovers. Luke Plange played 90 minutes for Helsinki, and who won the day. And finally, Killian Phillips, I think he's going to go, played for the first 74 minutes for St Mirren, who lost 3-0 at home to Celtic. Okay, other teams, out of those players that I just mentioned there, boys, is there any of those players that you think will go? And I think the last one is one that probably will. Paul?
The fact that they're out on loan, to me, I know you've got to develop these players. I don't, from what I've seen of those in the youngsters, I'm not sure any of them really will make it for us, and they're probably just being farmed out to sell. Did Jez play for Sheffield? Did you say?
I didn't know. He wasn't on that list, so I don't know. Anybody out there? Did Racksack play for Sheffield?
I'll just check it.
While you're doing that, then Ian, I'm going to go on to the other teams since the last show. The results since the last show: the under-21s on Tuesday lost 1-0 to Stevenage in the Lamech Stadium in the English Football League Trophy. On Friday, Friday, Premier League 2 Division 1, Blackburn Rovers 2, Crystal Palace 7. What a result that was. The under-18s played yesterday, Saturday, under-18s Premier League at Crystal Palace Training Ground. They drew 1-1 with Southampton. And the ladies didn't play yesterday in the WSL. Any luck?
Yeah, he came off the bench in the 70th minute, away at Norwich in a 1-1 draw.
All right, okay.
That's all I know. That's all I know.
Thank you, mate. Mark Halligan said in his chat we need Big Jim and Mickey Droy at the back. Is what we need. Those are the days. Do you ever speak to Big Jim?
Question here, Nick, which I meant to mention pre-show, which I forgot. But John, who has said it? I'm just trying to read the chat here. John Knox says, what would be the team for Tuesday in the Carabao Cup? How many changes do we think we should make? Who should play? There's an argument because we lost. Send the first team out again. Go out there and do it. Go and win a game. But there will be changes, won't there, Tuesday night?
But there will be, and I think the manager is hanging his hat on the fact that we have never won a trophy or any silverware for that matter. I think he's going to go for one of the trophies this year, and I really strongly believe that. Remember, you heard that here on the second show of the season, and I think he will put out a very, very strong team. Paul?
Yeah, I think it'll be strong. I think Czech's got to play, get some minutes for him.
So as well.
So yeah, I mean, it'll be 3 or 4 changes, you'd imagine, but there is an element of continuity needed just to try and get some confidence in the team for the next game. And then we've obviously got an international break where we can do some work and get some stuff, hopefully going through that way. But yeah, he's got to attack the game. I don't want to see 11 changes. I think that would be not good.
Young lady in the chat, I want to say hello to. Good evening, Lindsay from the DSA. I hope you're well. Good to send my best regards to Bruce. Do you think we'll play a strong team on Tuesday night, Jim?
Well, yeah, you play a strong team, but I don't think he'll play the full 11 that probably started. I mean, obviously, people like Doucouré, Sarr, Kamada, they need 90-minute games, don't they? So I think them players will play. Whether he brings, I mean, whatever way you look at it, the FA Cup, he'll probably always put out a strong side. But the league's the only thing these managers are interested in. You know, his reputation, he can win a cup, but I mean, his reputation will be built on how well we do this year in the Premier League. So, yeah, he won't put out, he's not going to make 11 changes. We haven't got enough bodies to make 11 changes, have we? And keep a decent side, but he'll still want to get a bit of confidence. And I think, especially the back three, need more bedding in, a little bit more work together. So it'll be a strong team, but slightly different, I would imagine.
Rob
You'd expect Sam Johnson in goal, wouldn't you? That's the first thing, you know. You
would think so, yeah.
You just hope you've got people like Holding, Klein, Ward, all these players who will want minutes and stuff. I just hope he doesn't go wholesale.
But so you say he couldn't change the whole 11. He could change the whole 11, Jim. You know, we have got 11 players that could come in that have all got some experience. They're not kids either. But I like you, I hope he doesn't. I hope he makes 3 or 4 changes and plays a strong side. And there's the other players that aren't starting on the bench as well to come in if needed. We've got 5 days before the Chelsea game on Sunday anyway. So it's not like we're playing 3 days.
He's not going to play a weak side. He's going to play, as you say, with all them play. I mean, Holding. Have we ever seen him play? Actually, I mean, he's come on as sub a little bit, but at some point he might have to play in the Premier League. So I think he's going to have to put out a strong side, but he'll want to play the players like Doucouré, Sarr, Kamada that sort of haven't had 90 minutes under the belt. But we're not. I'm just looking at all these comments. It's a bit doom and gloom, isn't it? We played 2 games. We were robbed against Brentford. We played really well. Great first half against West Ham. And people are like, get rid of Parish, get this out. He's no good. I've never heard so much crap in all my life. 2 games into the season, and we want to get rid of everybody. The manager's no good. Chairman's crap. Players are no good.
Right, you lot out there in YouTube land, any of you negative bastards out there, listen to him. He's the man in the know. He knows what he's talking about. Anyway, one last thing. I will pick you up on something you just said a minute ago, Jim. You were talking about the change of the team the other day. You said the managers will concentrate on the league. Anyone can win a cup. We never have. Okay, let's win a cup. If you want a bit of positive, let's win a cup. Right, Nigel.
I won the Dale Conference National 5-a-side.
That was my mistake. Right, fans advisory board, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, did anybody? I don't know if any of you met the new is supposed to be a golden eagle, but he don't at the moment. The young thing doesn't look anything like Kayla at the moment because he is only young. Don't let that mislead you. I'm sure he will bloom into the most beautiful bird of prey. But at the moment, bless his heart, he don't look that way. Tim and the entire fans advisory board all met up in the fan zone yesterday afternoon. Well done, Timbo, representing the Red and Blue Review. I really, really, we're very proud of what you did. He would like to remind you that there is a survey that he would like you to take a few minutes to fill out, and you can find it on the www.cpfc.co.uk/supporters fans advisory -board/. Okay, click onto that link, ladies and gentlemen, if you can. It's on the screen right now. Okay, and support these guys because they are batting in your corner. I promise you faithfully, they are batting in your corner, and they'd like you to fill out the survey. I'm not too sure what's on there because I haven't done it myself, so I will commit to doing that as well this week. Right, up and coming fixtures, ladies and gents. So obviously we've discussed in great detail. We've got Norwich City and the potential of what we're going to do teams wise. Okay, so here they are. Chelsea aren't playing very well, are they? They don't like a shot on goal at the moment. They don't like to score a goal. Then we're at home to Leicester, Jordan Ayew. Home to Man United, fits and starts. Everton, they are a troubled club in my world. And then home to Liverpool. Thoughts on those up and coming fixtures, guys? Paul, you kick off with them.
Yeah, I'm less confident about our trip to Stamford Bridge now than I was 6 hours ago. But yeah, we need to start picking up points pretty quick, don't we? Let's be honest. Leicester at home is a key game. If we don't beat Leicester, then the doom and gloom merchants will really be out. Again, Everton, we need to beat teams like that, and then you can sort of get away with some other games. But yeah, I just think we need to just get our confidence back, and then we can start attacking teams and scoring goals. But yeah, Sunday's going to be a tough one next week. I think, sadly, I'm going to predict a defeat on that one now. But then 2 home games, we've got to try and get 4 points from that, and then you kick on, don't you? But again, it's very hard to predict anything right now because we could have 3-4 a whole different sort of nucleus of the squad next week. So it'd be a lot easier to understand where we are at that point. But hopefully we'll be stronger and we can start pushing on up.
Right, Cranfield, Adams, and Richards. I can see your comments about my alleged fake tan in the comments. I've got 2 things to say. Yeah, there's both of them. Right, okay, Jim, your thoughts on these? Your thoughts on these fixtures coming up, please.
You have got an orange glow, haven't you?
But it's real, mate. I told the audience I'd be back and bronzed up, godlike body. Well, here it is, folks. I never lie to you. Shut up and get on with it. Jim, the next few fixtures coming up, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chelsea, that a week ago, you probably think, yeah, we could go there and do them, but maybe they're coming together now. Nice result this afternoon. So I think if we get a draw, yeah, I think if we get a draw, would be a good result. Teams like Leicester and Everton, we've got to be looking to get maximum points out of them. So I don't know what other games were shown there. I can't see them.
Liverpool,
Liverpool, Manchester United.
Yeah.
I would feel quite confident with Manchester United. Liverpool, if we got a draw there, would be a good result.
Cool. And Ian?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this too much, but how unlucky were Man United yesterday at Brighton? That second goal, that's ridiculous that was ruled out. What a nonsense the rules are in football sometimes. Yeah, just a word about that Liverpool game. It's scheduled at the moment for 12:30. It's on TNT Sport. If Liverpool are drawn at home in the Champions League that preceding week, it stays at 12:30. If they're drawn away that preceding week, that game will be moved to 8 p.m. on the Saturday. Am I right, Paul?
If they're away on the Wednesday, if they're away on the Tuesday, it's fine. If they're away on the Wednesday,
it's only the Wednesday, is it? Okay. If they're away on a Wednesday, well, what nonsense, isn't it? So we're reliant on Liverpool's Champions. And when is the Champions League draw? When do we know? When
29th, apparently the draw is, and then they take a couple of days to figure out who plays
who plays when. Okay. So if they're playing away on the Wednesday night before that game on the Saturday, our game will move to 8 p.m. on the Saturday rather than 12:30 lunchtime. Mad, isn't it? How are you supposed to run a social life as well as watch football matches? It's crazy, isn't it? You can't, can you?
That clearly doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect you, though, does it? On that note,
I my wife that. Why can't we do it? Because Palace are playing. What do you mean? Oh, dearie me, it's a nightmare.
Boys, I think we're going to draw a line after now. I've been rooting Jim tonight. I've been rooting Noble tonight. Paul, you got away with it. Okay, and you lot out in Facebook land have all been rooting me, so I'm going to sign off right there. Any last thoughts? Jim, give us one of your positive comments before we close off.
Well, we're going to pick up. Once Trouble is, we need to get this transfer window closed and out the way, and then we can reevaluate who we've got for the week after. Hopefully, we've got 2 or 3 new players that are going to improve the side, and the negativity has got to go out the window. We're 2 games into the Premier League.
Well said, big man. Ian?
Yeah, look, Oliver Glasner is a great football manager, and we were all eulogising over him at the end of last season and beginning of this season. He doesn't become a bad football manager overnight. We've had a bit of bad luck in the last couple of games, the opening games. Interestingly, thanks, Nige. These are Oliver Glasner's opening wins in these last 4 full seasons when he's had a pre-season. So it's interesting that you cut the years off there, Nige, but the top one is 22-23. Then the second one down is the year before that and year before that. And he hasn't won on the opening weekend of a league season since 2020, I think, that bottom one. So it takes him time to get going, Oliver Glasner. So I'm confident that by week 4 or 5, we'll start winning and we'll stay winning. There we go.
Paul?
I love stats. I hate that stat. I think that's horrible. As we've said all through the show, Friday comes, we know who's in the building, we know what players we've got. We've got a 2-week break after that. We can integrate them, get some system of play back into hopefully a bit of confidence. And I don't see why we can't have a good season like we all thought we were going to have.
Right. Okay. Final word goes to Lindsay out in YouTube land. She said, we've been in worse situations. All will be okay. I may see you on Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to come to join me, don't leave me lonely. Otherwise, that's for the transfer deadline show. If it's worth doing, okay, we will return on Monday, the 2nd of September. I will be in the chair once more, and hopefully I'll be in the chair quite a lot of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, thank you for giving up your evening. I'm very grateful to all 3 of you. Everybody out in YouTube land, thank you for watching. Okay, if you're listening to this on a podcast, thank you, and please give it a good share and a like to help those algorithms. Nigel Croucher in the background, I'm grateful. On behalf of myself, Nick Philpott, and this extremely talented team, I wish you a good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.